He is accused of raping his boss's wife. An unemployed graduate results in dressing like a man just to get a well-paid job. The maid is in love with her, and her boss's wife tries to get her to sleep with her, thinking she's a man. She's at a crossroad on what to do. It is either she loses her job or becomes a lesbian and sleeps with her boss's wife. Bimbo Ademoye is a comedian as expected in this funny story. Shaliwa is in her room with her sister, getting ready for work. She asks what she's doing and not going to work. She tells Shaliwa that she has quit her job and is focused on SFX, special effects makeup. Shaliwa insults her and goes outside. She almost ran into the landlord. She runs back inside the house. The landlord comes and knocks on the door. He asks her to come out, else he will ask boys to come and knock the place down. She goes outside to meet him. He asks for his money and she says she will give it to him when she has it. He asks her to let him be taking care of her. He touches her cheeks. She gets angry and slaps his hand off. Derek is in the dining room. Ramo, the cook, brings his breakfast of scrambled eggs. She asks if he likes it. He says yes. His wife, Tessie, comes to meet him and asks why he chose to embarrass her like that yesterday. She asks why there is a limit on her credit card. He says she does not do anything and does not care to know where it is from. She says she owns all he has and he tells her he's acting on her mother's instructions. Tessie takes his car keys and leaves. Shaliwa goes to a small shop and tells the woman she wants to work for her. She states her qualifications and says she can help her make her store bigger. The woman is surprised at the amount of grammar Shaliwa is speaking. She says she doesn't need her services and if she does need an assistant, then it will be a man. Shaliwa and her sister are eating and scraping food from the pot. Shaliwa asks her not to eat all of the food. She complains about how the country is and how she graduated with a good degree and still cannot find a decent job. Her sister says education is important in everything. Derek comes back from work. Ramo asks if she should set the table for him. He says not to worry, that he needs to freshen up first. He asks if his wife has eaten. She says his wife is not home. Derek waits till night before Tessie gets back. She comes back drunk and asks Derek to stop monitoring her. He asks her to become more responsible. Shaliwa scrolls through her phone most of the day to find a reasonable job but sees nothing. When her sister Mabel gets back, she tells her how ridiculous the offer she has been seeing are. She says the biggest offers are for men. She says how can a driver's salary be 100,000 and a nanny's is just 25,000. Mabel asks if she knows how to drive and why she thinks anyone would employ her as a driver. She tells Mabel about a man who was asking her out one time. She says he was a smuggler and he dressed like a lady to avoid the police. Nobody knew a thing. An idea crosses Shaliwa's mind. Derek is on the bed working. Tessie is on a call. She climbs the bed and drops the call. Derek asks who that was. She asks if he's monitoring her calls. He says it is just a harmless question. He asks her to be more responsible and think of when they will start to have kids. Tessie says she doesn't want kids. She says the one time that it happened was it and it is not happening again. She says that is not what she came to do. Shaliwa leaves the house in the morning dressed as a man. The landlord sees her from behind and thinks Shaliwa is rejecting him and has the audacity to bring a man into his house. Shaliwa gets to Derek's office and asks for her name. She says it is Kabiru. He asks if she has had any experience with driving before and she starts to mention a few. He asks if she has driven someone officially before and she says yes. After all the questions, he tells her he cannot employ her. Shortly, Derek receives a call from a client to come to a place he does not know. Shaliwa says she knows the place and asks that he give her a trial. On their way, Derek asks her to use the Google map, which later leads them to a cemetery. Derek is angry and asks that they ask around to get to their destination. Mabel asks Shaliwa if she's not worried about being caught. Shaliwa asks how. The landlord starts to knock on the door. He asks the boy with him to go in and throw out all of Shaliwa's things. She begs him and says she will pay him by month end after she receives her salary. Shaliwa sings as she cleans Derek's car. The gateman comes and hits her from behind. They get into an argument. Ramo comes to settle the fight. Derek comes out and is ready to leave. Shaliwa drops him at a restaurant to eat breakfast. He asks if she has eaten. She says no and he asks her to join him. Shaliwa does not order anything and Derek wonders why. She says she does not eat that kind of food. He takes her to a roadside vendor where she buys agege bread and beans. She spreads the beans on the bread and presses it together. She splits in halves and offers him one. He says he does not want to eat. After waiting for a while, he asks her to meet him in the car. Mabel goes to meet the landlord and asks him why he is after Shaliwa. She says she's there for him and he's wasting his time on Shaliwa that is not even worth it. He says he realizes his mistake. She asks him to come and meet her in the room. When he comes in, he undresses. She holds him by the cloth and shouts rape. She begins to make a video. She asks him to write a 2-year receipt of rent payment. She asks him not to try anything funny, else she will post the video online. Shaliwa and Derek are on their way back at night and she is singing to a love song playing on the radio. He tells her he does not know she could sing so well. She says she used to sing it with her boyfriend when they were still in love. Derek asks again and she corrects corrects herself and says her girlfriend. Derek asks what happened. She says the person was unfortunate. Suddenly, the car starts to malfunction. Shaliwa comes down and wonders what could be wrong with the car. Derek comes to meet her and asks what the problem is. She says she doesn't know. Derek says he will call the mechanic. Some area boys come and try to extort them. Shaliwa scares them away by breaking a bottle. Derek drops Shaliwa off at home. Mabel sees him drop her off and asks why. She teases her about it. Shaliwa goes to work the next day. She asks Ramo to give her the car key because she wants to wash it. Ramo goes inside and comes out with a gift for Shaliwa, a pack of boxers. Shaliwa asks if she likes her and she says yes. She tells her she likes her and calls him pet names. Shaliwa and Derek are on their way back again at night. He asks her to play the song she was playing the other day. He says he has a question for her because of some inconsistency in her CV. He says her name is Kabiru, but it says Shaliwa in her CV. She says the reason is because her grandmother named her Shaliwa because she thought she was going to be a girl while she was in the womb. She explains that it is the same with Ashake, the musician. Derek receives a call to come pick Tessie up. He goes with Shaliwa to pick her up. When Shaliwa gets home, she's kidnapped by the landlord. He accuses her of being the man who takes Shaliwa's attention from him. He complains about what Mabel did and says he will have to pay for it. Shaliwa has to reveal her identity to him. She angrily confronts Mabel. She tells her to go and return the receipt to the landlord and also apologize to him. Ramo calls, but she ignores it. The next day, Ramo goes to meet Shaliwa by the car and asks why she's treating her badly. She says she called her, but she ignored her calls. Shaliwa says it is best that everybody minds their own business in the house. Derek comes and they leave for work. Tessie gets ready to go out and cannot find her car keys. She wonders where they are and calls Ramo to ask. Ramo says Derek asked her to pack everything in his bag and he has taken it with him. Derek is in the office with the client, about to close a deal. Tessie enters and asks for her car keys. Derek asks her to wait outside while he finishes the deal with the client. She does not listen and stands there. The client tries to talk to her, but she calls him stupid for interfering in her conversation with her husband. The client stands up and leaves. He wants to follow him, but Tess stops him. She asks for her keys, but he says she's not giving her. She starts to tear important documents in the office. Derek calls his mom and says he's tired of Tessie. He says she's becoming unbearable. She asks him to try to talk to her, but he asks her to do it instead. She wishes him happy birthday and drops the call. Shaliwa walks in and hands him a gift. He opens it and is touched by what is inside. He says thank you because his day just ended well. He asks that they go for a drink. He rants about Tessie's behavior. He says he lost $1 million deal on his birthday and the client will not even talk to him. Shaliwa advises that he goes through a semi-formal approach, which Derek likes. He asks how she knows that. She says she studied business administration in school, even though she did not finish. Shaliwa pays her rent to the landlord. He returns her interest and says she's a good girl. He calls her Shaliwa by night, Kabiru by day, teasing her. She goes to work and teaches Derek how to eat bread and beans. She asks if he likes it and he says yes. She's happy with herself and asks that they share with the bread. Shaliwa goes to work the next day. She's fetching water when Ramos sneaks up on her from behind. She scolds her and asks her not to try that again. Derek comes out and asks that they leave. Later at night, Shaliwa is in the car with Derek and Tessie. Derek asks Shaliwa to stop because he wants to get something. When Derek gets down, Tessie tries to seduce Shaliwa. She asks if it is true that village boys are good in bed. Shaliwa says she doesn't know anything. Derek comes and they drive away. Shaliwa tells Mabel what happened and Mabel laughs. She says first Ramo and now her boss's wife. She says Shaliwa likes her boss, but she does not admit to it. Mabel laughs at Shaliwa more. Ramo is cleaning the house and subtly insults Shaliwa with songs. Shaliwa is shocked and just wonders what is going on. Derek comes out and hands over some clothes to Shaliwa. He says he got them, but they are not his size. He tells her he wants to go to the beach and relax. He asks if she can go to the beach. She says yes. He also tells her he's traveling on Monday and will be back by weekend. He asks her to be around because he might need her to run some errands for him. Mabel is surprised at the clothes Derek gave Shaliwa. She asks if Shaliwa is sure that Derek does not already know her secret identity and likes her now. Shaliwa says they are just bros and are close. She accuses Shaliwa of liking her boss, but she denies it and blushes. Tessie brings a man to the house and Shaliwa sees her. After the man leaves, Tessie tells Shaliwa that she must not say anything about what she saw. Shaliwa says whatever happened in her marriage is none of her business and she does not need to threaten her or anything. Later, Tessie calls Shaliwa to the room. Shaliwa wonders why. When she enters, she sees Tessie half naked and quickly turns away. She tells Tessie she cannot be doing that with her. Tessie tries to seduce her and Ramo enters. Shaliwa leaves immediately. Shaliwa tells Mabel about what happened. Mabel is surprised. She asks Shaliwa to tell her boss, but Shaliwa says she cannot scatter their home. Derek gets back from his trip. Tessie tells Derek that Shaliwa tried to rape her and Ramo confirms that it is the truth. Derek calls Shaliwa and asks why she would rape his wife. He asks the security guard to throw Shaliwa out. Tessie pretends to be angry and Derek apologizes to her. Shaliwa gets home and cries. Mabel is surprised that she's home early. Shaliwa tells her what happened and she's angry on her behalf. She says it was why she asked Shalewa to tell Derek, but she did not answer her. Shalewa calls Derek later to explain herself, but he does not listen. Derek comes back from work one day and meets Tessie on a video call with a man, and he overhears their conversation. He acts like he did not hear anything. He comes back another day and tells Tessie she will be hearing from his lawyer because he wants a divorce. She asks if he does not want the company again. He says he doesn't care. She says she's fine because he's saving both of them from misery. Shalewa is going out of the house and the landlord stops her to ask why Kabiru has not been going to work lately. She tells him that Kabiru lost his job. She says a misunderstanding happened at his workplace and he lost his job. The landlord has pity on her and says his friend runs a bakery and he needs a secretary. Shalewa says she would do it regardless of the pay. Shalewa comes back from work and she's eating bread and akara with Mabel. Mabel says the bread is nice. Shalewa remembers when she taught Derek how to eat bread and beans. Mabel laughs and they joke. Ramo goes to see Derek and confesses the truth about what happened with Shalewa. She says Tessie made her do it and she did not want to lose her job. Derek is angry and ashamed of himself. He goes to Shalewa's house to look for her and see Shalewa for who she is. She explains that it has been hard getting a job and most of the well-paying ones are often to men. He apologizes to her for his mistakes and says he was hurt. She tells him that she forgives him. Mabel insults Ramo for pushing Shalewa under the bus like that after saying she likes him. Derek calls and asks Shalewa to dinner, which she agrees. Shalewa asks him what happened to his marriage and he tells her that he got married to Tessie to save his father's company. He says he loves Tessie, but his actions were not enough. He asks Shalewa if she's single. She says, what does he think? They spend time together. Derek goes to Shalewa's house to tell that his friend is opening a business and he puts her name down for the offer. She thanks him. She goes to his office another day to tell him that she got the job. He asks that they go to celebrate and he ends up buying her clothes. Mabel says he likes her, but Shalewa says he's just bored. Shalewa is on her way back from work when Derek calls her. He sounds like he's in danger. She goes to his house and there's a whole decoration for her. He gives her her birthday gift and asks her to be his girlfriend, which she agrees to. Love finds us when we least expect and in the most unusual places. This movie is filled with drama and loads of comedy. Catch it on Bimbo Ademoye TV on YouTube. Please follow, like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.